we just continue to get more evidence that Malik Willis may actually be too expensive for Miami in free agency. We've talked about the Spotrac contract projection, and now another projection is dropped from The Athletic that further indicates Miami can't get into a bidding war for Malik Willis, and the original belief you could sign him for a one-year, $13 million deal like Daniel Jones did with the Colts or Sam Darnold did with the Vikings a couple years ago, that just isn't going to happen. Like, The Athletic this week released an article projecting contracts for every free agent, and they had Willis as the 9th-ranked free agent out of their top 150, and they projected a 2-year, $46 million deal for the free agent quarterback. That's very similar to what Justin Fields got in free agency a year ago from the New York Jets, and I understand that is probably the market, and that relatively is fair, but I just don't believe Miami will be able to hand out a contract at that length. Like, you look at the Athletics projection, you look at Spotrac. Is Miami currently in a spot, both in their cap books, but also with their current roster construction, where they could hand out a deal in free agency to a quarterback worth anything more than $20 million per season, let alone 35, which is what Spotrac thinks he could get? No, I don't think Miami can afford either. So when you really boil down to free agency beginning in a couple weeks, I am starting to actually write Malik Willis out of my mind. I talked about it a little bit earlier this week, but I just don't believe this is a realistic outcome for Jon-Eric Sullivan and Jeff Hafley, no matter how much connection they have to the free agent quarterback. Unless Willis signs for a one-year cheap deal, I don't see this signing happening. And make sure you do subscribe, because we're going to continue to have you coverage on the Dolphins, and specifically this upcoming week, NFL Combine. We'll have a lot of news, including exclusive interviews with Jon-Eric Sullivan and Jeff Hafley. Boots are on the ground. Make sure you hit that sub button. But right now, the Dolphins' projected cap space in 2026 is $10.5 million, and that is when Bradley Chubb's pre-June 1 cut gets finalized. Now, they could decide to ultimately make it a post-June 1 cut, which would save Miami $20 million against the cap rather than $7 million. So that's TBD. That's not finalized. But the point still remains. Like, where are they going to find all of this cap space to sign Willis to that type of deal, but also sign their draft class? Sign other free agents. Because it's not like Miami has a roster in place. They don't. Like, I alluded to it on a video Friday morning when ESPN named Miami as the best fit for Malik Willis in free agency. I'm out. And it's nothing against Willis as a player. I think given the right scenario, given the right infrastructure, he could be a average to above average starting quarterback in the NFL. I just don't see that happening in Miami, though. And with him having limited starts, he's only started 8 games. I don't think giving a quarterback who's only played in 8 games that type of contract is worth the risk. I'd find your guy through the draft or maybe on the trade market, because I'm not sure, looking at this crop of free agent quarterbacks, if it's worth signing any of these guys. We've talked about Willis. We've talked about Daniel Jones and Aaron Rodgers. We've even mentioned some other guys out there. But you look at the free agent quarterbacks like Jimmy Garoppolo, Mitch Trubisky, Jake Browning, Russell Wilson, Marcus Mariota, Kenny Pickett. Does it make sense for Miami to go out and get any of these guys? I don't know if it does, right? And yeah, you could say bring in a veteran to compete with Quinn Ewers and maybe a rookie for the starting quarterback role in 2026. Like, all right, sure. But when you really boil down to it, the only type of free agent or veteran quarterback I want is a mentor to Quinn Ewers and a rookie you draft this year, which is basically a borderline another coach. Like, I'm not interested in a one-year stopgap bridge quarterback of Jimmy Garoppolo if he's the starter, or Russell Wilson. If you make a signing, I want him to be a guy that can help mentor the rookie you draft and Quinn Ewers and see what you have in your young guys. And if it doesn't work out, well, guess what? Then you're drafting in the top 5, which is the projected outcome for you anyway in 2027, and you can take your next quarterback there. What say you, though? Be the GM. Take Jon-Eric Sullivan's job here. Should the Dolphins sign a veteran quarterback? Type Y for yes or type N for no. Let me know your thoughts. And we talked about it here on Thursday, but the Dolphins have been linked to Jimmy Garoppolo. That name is not on the list, and I did not mention it a minute ago for no reason. So keep your eye on Jimmy G, who has familiarity with Bobby Slowick. If the Dolphins go out and sign a quarterback in free agency, there's a decent chance, no Malik Willis, it could be Jimmy Garoppolo. This is our thumbnail for video if you want to go back and watch it. But I'm personally focusing on a trade this offseason at quarterback or the NFL draft class at hand, which, yes, isn't that strong, but maybe Miami could find a diamond in the rough on day 2 in the 3rd round where you have 3 third-round selections, or on day 3. Now, these 5 names are intriguing to me on the trade market. Mac Jones is apparently not going to be traded from San Francisco. I doubt it, though, that the Niners would actually turn down a 3rd-round pick for Mac Jones, because what are you going to do? Hold on to him as your backup just in case Brock Purdy gets hurt? I think they would rather have a 3rd-round pick. So if you offered a 3rd-rounder for Mac, I think you'd get him. Anthony Richardson, the former top 10 pick, is an option. Will Levis has a lot of talent. Davis Mills has connections to Bobby Slowick, obviously. Tanner McKee is a name we've mentioned. But here's one we haven't talked about, and that is Will Levis. Former top 50 pick. Levis has a lot of arm strength, a lot of talent. Some believed he could have went top 10 in the draft. Didn't ultimately happen. I'll be honest here, folks. He's got size. He's got arm strength. He's got moxie. There could be worse low-hanging fruit than Will Levis. Trade a 6th, 7th rounder for him. Try to develop him. Give him a second chance. I don't think it's the worst idea in the world. It could be worse. I'm telling you, it could be worse. St. Patrick's Day is just around the corner, and if you want to get some St. Patrick's Day gear, well, look no further than here at Dolphins Today. Go to chatsports.com/MIAgreen, and you can join our Dolphins Today drinking team. You can get a green shirt. You can get a black shirt. Sweet design. We're starting to roll out some merch here at the channel, and we're trying to see this continue to grow. And we're trying to grow our drinking team for St. Patrick's Day. You got myself. I got a shirt for sure. We got Brian Aycock. We got Jason K. We got Greg B. We got 4 members of the Miami Dolphins Today drinking team. Anyone else going to join us? Well, go grab your merch. It's in the link. The link is in the description and comments of today's show. I do want to focus a little bit here on some of these NFL draft prospect quarterbacks. I took Fernando Mendoza off the list. He's going number 1. That's not an option for Miami. So these are the other 10 guys. Trinidad Chambliss is going back to college. Joey Aguilar got denied another year of eligibility. He will likely be in this draft circle. So these are the top 10 guys if you're asking me. And this is the question that we got to face and ask ourselves, and so does Sully and Halfley. Would you rather trade a day 3 pick for a quarterback as a reclamation project, like a Will Levis, an Anthony Richardson, a Tanner McKee, or Davis Mills? Or would you rather draft a quarterback on day 3, or maybe even late day 2 in the 3rd round? That is the question that this new brass and regime has to ask themselves, but also answer. And if they do elect to go the draft route, out of those 10 quarterbacks that we just showed, these are the 5 that I really think we have to focus on. Garrett Nussmeier at LSU, who was a projected top 10 pick coming into the year, but really struggled due to an injury. I think that really played a major factor. Could be a good day 2, early day 3 steal. Drew Aller's got all of the talent in the world, good size, elite arm strength. He's an interesting guy. Taylor Green, that dual threat cyborg in the late rounds, could be interesting. Same thing with Sawyer Robertson. But I want people to keep your eye on Cole Payton from North Dakota State. I know he's a lefty, so that may give Dolphins fans some PTSD, but you can't just say no to him immediately because he's a lefty, and our last quarterback was a lefty as well. You can't just say no to that. I do love Cole Payton in the middle rounds. This guy's got great size to him, 6'3", 233. Going to be intrigued to see what he officially measures in at the Combine this upcoming week. But he was dominant in 2025 for North Dakota State. 13 games. You see his passing and rushing numbers on screen, accounted for about 3,600 total yards, combined for 29 touchdowns, 8 turnovers, had a 127.8 QB rating. Like, this guy was dicing up the competition. I know it was lower as the FCS, but you watch his tape, you watch his film, this guy stands out. And he played really well at the Senior Bowl as well, and he's rising up some of these draft boards. I mean, just look at his passing chart from last season. I get it, FCS, he was awesome over the middle of the field, deep at the hashes. I mean, look at outside right and outside left, 20 yards down the field. Just throwing it over the people's heads at a high level here. And you kind of look at his brief and generic scouting report. This guy's a true dual threat athlete. He's a great runner. You saw he had 900 rushing yards last season. He can really make things happen with his legs, and he's tough to bring down because he's agile, but he's also got great size, like I mentioned, at 6'3", 235. His biggest strength as a passer, though, is his ball placement. He can move to his right and throw across his body and still put it on a frozen rope in a spot where you're basically handing it to him. I mean, you watch some of the throws he was making. He knows how to sit down his wide receivers in tight ends in between zones so they don't get killed over the middle of the field. He's got above average arm strength. Payton continues to rise up draft boards. Some people believe he's QB2 in this draft, and some people really do eye him as a second round, maybe third round pick right now. Now, there are some knocks. Obviously, playing the FCS, not a lot of high-level competition, but did well at the Senior Bowl a couple weeks ago, as we mentioned. And one big knock I have on him right now is that he does hold the ball too long. I mean, he makes things happen with his legs, but you got to upgrade that internal clock when you're playing at the next level. But this guy feels like a Sully guy. He does. Like, think about Jordan Love being taken a couple of years in 2020 in the first round. Utah State, so wasn't playing the highest competition, but had a lot of intangibles, arm strength, size, like Cole Payton, can move around a little bit. Think about the other quarterbacks that they've drafted. Clayton Tune, guy that could move around, didn't play at the highest level. Like, I just feel as if Jon-Eric Sullivan could easily fall in love with Cole Payton, and when they meet with him, they attend his pro day, they talk with him more and more, I could see him being a really interesting option for the Dolphins in the third round of the draft, where they have 3 picks, 75, 87, and 90. They could be adding more depending on some trades if they deal away a Minkah Fitzpatrick or some other guys on the roster. So be subscribed because we got a big week ahead of us at the NFL Combine. So join the channel, lock us in for inside information on the Miami Dolphins.